From the outside, Kierra Sheard and Jordan Kelly always looked like the dream couple, the type of love story people wished for. Their wedding was grand, almost like a royal ceremony in the gospel world. Kierra, the daughter of gospel royalty, stood out not only for her powerful voice, but also for finally finding true love. Jordan, a businessman, was celebrated for his faith and devotion. Together, they gave an image of a modern Christian marriage filled with joy, prayer, and unity. People looked at them and said this was a love written in the heavens. But you won't believe what happened when the perfect picture began to fall apart. Let me tell you, everything changed when Kierra sat on stage during a women's conference in Detroit. She was dressed beautifully, her smile as graceful as always, but her heart was carrying a heavy weight. The conversation turned to marriage, and after a long silence, her eyes filled with tears. She finally admitted that her marriage was not the fairy tale people thought it was. She confessed that some nights she cried herself to sleep, and there were days she felt crushed under the pressure of being both Kierra, the gospel star, and the wife Jordan needed. The audience gasped because this was not the polished Kierra they were used to seeing. But here's the shocking part. Jordan was sitting right there in the front row, his face stiff, his eyes fixed on the floor. The silence in the room was heavy. Kierra continued saying that she carried expectations from her family, her church, and social media. Yet at home, she was just a woman trying to hold everything together. This honesty left the whole place frozen. And soon, clips of that moment spread online like fire. Fans were left divided, wondering if the perfect gospel couple had been breaking all along. Was Kierra giving the world a real picture of her struggles, or was she hinting at something much deeper inside her marriage? This is where it gets interesting because insiders soon revealed that her confession was not a sudden slip of the tongue. According to people close to them, the night before that very conference, Kierra and Jordan had a tense conversation in their hotel room. Kierra, tired and restless, told him she could not keep pretending anymore. She said she was suffocating under all the pressure. Jordan, frustrated, warned her about the consequences, reminding her that every word she spoke would become a headline. He told her not to let their marriage turn into a scandal. But Kierra stood her ground and said she was done lying. She had carried this burden for too long. What makes the story different? Her words on stage were not just emotional. They were a release, a truth she had been holding back for years. When Kierra's words hit the internet, everything turned into chaos. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with clips of her confession. Some fans praised her for being real, saying it was finally refreshing to see someone from gospel royalty, admitting that marriage was not always easy. They felt her honesty gave voice to many women who were silently struggling. But others were harsh, accusing her of airing private matters in public. One critic even wrote, "Pray about it, don't post about it." The divide grew larger, and memes began to appear. Glamorous photos of her wedding were placed side by side with her crying on stage, and people began to ask if the fairy tale had only been an illusion. But here's the shocking part. Jordan, who rarely engaged in public attention, suddenly became the target of endless speculation. Some accused him of failing to support his wife, while others believed he was the victim of her oversharing. Hashtags like #PerforKierra and #MarriagePressure began trending, and YouTube commentators jumped on the story, making long videos with titles predicting separation or even divorce. The craziest part was that these stories spread so fast that people started to believe even unconfirmed rumors as facts. As the noise grew louder, more supposed insiders began speaking out. One claimed Kierra once went to counseling alone because she felt her communication with Jordan was breaking down. Another alleged that Jordan often clashed with members of the Sheard family, especially about where the couple would live and how often they should appear in family events. An anonymous voice even claimed Kierra once said, "Sometimes I feel like I'm married into a second church." These whispers gave fans a new angle, painting a picture of a marriage full of hidden cracks. This is where it gets interesting. An old interview clip of Jordan resurfaced where he admitted he was not prepared for the level of attention that came with marrying Kierra. At that time, he had laughed nervously and said, "It's overwhelming." But now, fans were re-watching that same clip as if it was a warning sign. Soon after, rumors about financial disagreements also began to circulate. People claimed that the couple argued over business ventures and public appearances. Even though none of these claims were proven, The timing of their resurfacing made it look as if the marriage was falling apart right in front of everyone. As days turned into weeks, the pressure on Kierra and Jordan only grew heavier. Insiders began sharing stories of tense arguments at home. One staff member from their church claimed that after a Sunday service, Jordan confronted Kierra in their private office. He reportedly said in a sharp tone, "Do you know what you started?" Kierra, with tears in her eyes, allegedly told him, "I spoke my truth. I can't carry your silence anymore." But here's the shocking part. Jordan slammed his hand against the desk and told her she had made him look weak in front of the world. Kierra fired back, saying, "You made me feel weak in my own home." These words showed the raw battle they were fighting in private while the world continued to debate their public image. Destiny took an unexpected turn when even their church community started questioning what was happening. Some elders advised the couple to seek joint counseling, worried that the scandal could damage not only their marriage, but also Kierra's ministry. But others believe her openness could actually help people, showing that even those in the spotlight were human. One pastor even said her confession might free many women who had been silently carrying similar struggles. Still, behind the scenes, there was a growing fear that too much damage had already been done. This is where it gets interesting. Kierra's father, Bishop J. Drew, stepped in. He was deeply worried about how this could affect their family's legacy. In a private family meeting, he reportedly told her, "You don't fight battles in front of the congregation." But Kierra, holding her ground, replied, "Daddy, I've been fighting alone for too long." Those words showed a painful truth. Was she finally choosing herself over the brand her family had built for years? Or was she risking everything they stood for? What makes this story different is that it was not just about two people in a marriage, but about faith, family, and reputation all tied together in one fragile knot. The craziest part was that while all this was happening, fans who once called them the gospel power couple now whispered doubts about whether their marriage could survive. People no longer saw only the love story. They saw cracks, secrets, and unanswered questions. Kierra's tears had opened a door that could not be closed, and behind it, the perfect image had already started to break. As the dust began to settle, one thing became clear. The fairy tale image of Kierra and Jordan's marriage could never return to what it once was. What started as a single emotional confession had spiraled into weeks of gossip, speculation, and endless rumors. Their once envied love story was now being picked apart by strangers on social media, by blogs looking for clicks, and even by voices within the church community. You won't believe how quickly the admiration they once enjoyed turned into suspicion. People who used to dream of a marriage like theirs were now questioning if it was all just a fragile illusion from the very beginning. Let me tell you, the more Kierra's words echoed, the more they resonated with women everywhere. Many felt her pain deeply, saying she had spoken what they themselves had been afraid to admit. She was no longer just a gospel star with a glamorous marriage. She had become a symbol of hidden struggles that often stay behind closed doors. But here's the shocking part. While Kierra's honesty touched lives, it also left her and Jordan more exposed than ever. Jordan now faced the challenge of not just being the quiet man in the background, but proving himself as an equal partner in a marriage constantly under the microscope. This is where it gets interesting. Inside their family circle, questions were still rising. Was Kierra rebelling against the heavy expectations of being Sheard and Clark legacy? Or was she simply trying to breathe as a woman overwhelmed by both family duty and public life? Some believe she was brave for finally speaking her truth, while others whispered that she might have risked everything for one emotional moment on stage. What makes this story different is that it carried not just the weight of love and marriage, but the weight of ministry, fame, and legacy all intertwined. The craziest part is that fans are still left without clear answers. Did her tears mark the beginning of healing or the beginning of the end? Was this a couple finding a new path together? Or were they standing on the edge of collapse? As people continued to talk, one haunting question remained. If this was the confession Kierra chose to share, then what secrets were still locked behind closed doors? Destiny took an unexpected turn for gospel's golden couple, and whether they rise stronger or fall apart, the truth has already changed their story.